All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. We got Monday Night Football week number 7, Seahawks taking on the Texans. In this video, I'm going to dive into that game. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about either plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, make sure to keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That's where you'll find all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. Now, this is the second Monday Night Football game this week. If you are looking for the Lions and the Bucks video, that is posted as its own video, separate video here on the channel as well. So make sure to go ahead and check that out. And guys, before we do dive into this game, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know all of your favorite plays, what you're rolling with, anything that you're looking at down in the comments below. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Right now, Seahawks sitting at 3.5-point favorites. That total is at 41.5. What we're going to do here is talk about this game. I'll go through the Seattle offense versus the Texans defense, then flip it. Texans offense, Seattle defense. We'll go through, give our leans on both the side and total, and then I have a few player props to share as well. So if that sounds good, let's go ahead and do it. Seattle comes into this one 4-2. They're coming off of a win against Jacksonville, which they looked pretty good last week. Houston, just 2-3 on the season. I will say their last 2 games are their wins, so maybe they're coming with a little momentum here. I'm coming off a bye week, but the teams they beat were Tennessee. They beat them 26-0, and Baltimore, injured Baltimore, 44-10. This is by far and away, in the last 3 weeks or so, the best team that they have seen, and they even have a common, opponent on the schedule here. Couple common opponents, but the most recent one was Jacksonville. Houston lost 17-10. Seattle beat Jacksonville 20-12. They also both played, I believe it was Tampa Bay, but both caught an L to them, right? So in terms of Sam Darnold and this offense against this Houston defense, what can we expect? Now, this Houston defense is kind of confusing to me, I'll be honest, right? They're ranked number 1 in terms of points allowed, but that makes sense. They really have, a couple games on their record there that it's like, well, yeah, those teams shouldn't be scoring on them. But they also played the Rams, held them to 15 points. They held the Bucks to 20 points. Like, there are a few positive spots on their record as well, right? They're allowing the 5th fewest passing yards, which is very, very important because this is a Seattle team that, is kind of living and dying by the pass right now. Though they run the ball a decent amount, or try to, they honestly are winning and losing games based on how well Sam Darnold and this passing attack goes, right? So little concern there, I guess, for Darnold, but overall he should see some zone, not too much pressure. Now, some of the weeks you look at, based on the offensive line, the Texans do rank pretty damn high in terms of time to pressure and time to, time to throw. But overall, if we do take a peek at our NFL dashboard, we can see they don't rank too high, right? Middle of the pack in terms of pressure, bottom third of the league in terms of blitz, which is very, very good for Sam Darnold. We're going to see him struggle against the pressure, definitely struggle against the blitz as well, but we don't have too much of that on that end. So yes, I think that's probably the first positive that we can pull for Sam Darnold, is that maybe he doesn't get pressured all that much. But like I said, you look at some of the more recent games, and yeah, Texas looks like they're doing a little bit better in that category. I would just say maybe it is the level of competition in a sense, right? So I think Sam Darnold, as long as they keep that pocket clean enough, we should see them be able to do okay. I mean, middle of the pack team in terms of clean pocket percentage, middle of the pack team in terms of adjusted sack, 12th in QB hit percentage, so like nothing crazy, right? So if that pocket's clean, that's Sam Darnold's go-to, right? Like if it's a messy pocket and it's all muddy in there, that's his kryptonite. If it's not, I expect him to be able to continue to deliver, which he has been doing. Sam Darnold, on our dashboard, yet again, you can see it here, averaging 256.8 passing yards per game, completing it at over 70%. So the dude has been looking very, very good. So I don't think it's the worst spot for him. The best, not so much, because this is a good passing defense, but not exactly the worst. The negative here comes with the run game, and I do think that, Seattle's run game and the run attack just in general has been kind of a massive negative. 24th in rushing yards per game, 27th in rushing yards per carry there. Houston's top 10 in both of those categories here, right? And throw in the fact that, yeah, the Seattle team likes to run the outside zone. They run at the 7th highest rate in terms of, the entire league. Would you look at that, Houston ranked number 9th in terms of yards per carry against a decent team against zone. And by the way, guys, if you want access to this tool, forgot to mention it, GuyBostonSports.com, head to the members area, sign up here, head to the NFL dashboard. There's multiple ways to sign up. Just head over to the members area, $6.99. You can also, if you still want to use the dashboard for the MLB games, and we have NBA coming around, sign up for the all sports dashboard. You get everything. But anyways, this is what I was talking about, right? You can see Houston, very good rush defense and very good specifically against that outside zone, which is clearly the higher frequency ranked type of running scheme that the Seattle team runs. So outside of Sam Darnold, I don't see the running backs looking all that tremendous, kind of like it has been here for this Seattle offense. So it's going to come down to Sam Darnold, and it's going to come down to the pressure. If they can keep him clean, I think that he should be okay. Now, one thing to note, and we'll talk about that when we get to the player props, this is a Houston team that regardless of what type of defense they're playing or the pressure, Stingley is still out there, right? And most likely going to take away your number one weapon. So keep that in mind when we think about Sam Darnold. Jackson Smith-Njigba has been really, really good this year. Sam Darnold obviously really likes him. Is that something that we have to question as well? But guys, before we do get into talking about the Texans offense versus the Seattle defense, let me talk to you about Chalkboard. We just mentioned Sam Darnold. Is he going to have a clean pocket? Is he not? Well, guess what? It's not going to matter for this square. Chalkboard has knocked Sam Darnold's line down to 0.5 passing yards. You also get your first deposit matched 100%. So whatever you put in, boom, they're going to double it. Go ahead and check it out, guys. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. I've been talking about Chalkboard a lot because it is absolutely amazing. Yes, they have great payouts and great multipliers and all that. One of the coolest things that they are now doing is offering game picks, money line, spread, total. You can include those in your plays. Go ahead and check it out. Again, that link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Let's talk some CJ Stroud and the Houston offense. So CJ Stroud should see a decent amount of zone, which I do think is a mixed bag to some degree in terms of what we can expect out of him, right? Because you can see here, yards per attempt and completion percentage go up in terms of zone versus man, but then interception rate drops against man versus zone. DVOA goes up against man, EPA goes up against man, and again, he's going to see a decent amount of zone. So a little bit of a mixed bag out of CJ, and realistically, we haven't seen him look all that tremendous, since dating back a couple years now. But, overall, yeah, I guess the completion percentage look good. I guess the yards per attempt look good. I get it, right? The problem is we are going to get some pressure, and this Seattle team definitely ranks pretty damn well in pressure. 8th in terms of pressure rate, but even outside of that, they are very, very good. 8th in adjusted sack percentage, 8th in clean pocket percentage, 5th in QB hit rate, you know what I mean? Causing the 6th most checkdowns. That's worth noting. So I don't think CJ Stroud's in the best of situations here, especially because he has a mixed sort of bag in terms of what we can expect out of zone versus man there. Nico Collins, a guy that's a very good man beater, his number one option, not exactly in the best spot either. The problem is, okay, if CJ Stroud isn't in the best situation, what about this run game? In this Texans run game has been so damn confusing. I mean, they're middle of the pack in terms of rushing yards per game and yards per carry, but where I say they've been so damn confusing is it's like, whose backfield is it, right? Chubb or Woody Marks. Okay, well, now you throw in Dameon Pierce. I don't even think they know exactly what they're doing. And they're going up against the number 2 team in terms of rushing yards per game, number 2 in terms of yards per game, and then also number 2 in terms of yards per carry, right? So I do think that that's a little bit of an issue here when you don't even have a rushing identity, and yet you're going to go out there and say, okay, well, we're going to try running the ball against the Seattle team that's already very good against the ground game. Here, I know we keep flashing back and forth, but here's another example. They like to run the man/duo split, right, in terms of the scheme. Well, Seattle, that's actually the best way that they defend the run when you do go with man scheme. So overall, I don't think Houston's offense is in at all a good situation here, right? I have my questions with Seattle, but I do think that they at least have a Sam Darnold that can kind of pull them out of something. So I'm going to lean Seattle here. I would like the 2.5, not exactly that 3.5. I would like the 2.5, 3 at worst, but I'm also considering an under or a team total under. There's no denying that 41 is somewhat of a low gettable number, right? I get that. But both of these teams have really good defenses, not exactly the best offensive lines. Quarterbacks can make some plays, sure, but they need the time, right? And again, Sam Darnold's still a little bit of a question mark if he'll get it. I think that he will. I think it'll be okay. But to me, I don't see a ton of points in this game. Maybe trimming the fat a little bit, I could convince myself and pivot to a team total under for Houston. I think that that's something that I would consider as well. In terms of player props, yeah, we kind of already talked about it. I think Sam Darnold, wham bam, thank you ma'am, Sam Darnold, I like his over in pass completions. Now, he's only done it a couple times this season, I get it. And honestly, you look at the quarterbacks against this team, not exactly the best, but how about this? Cooper Rush stinks, Cam Ward rookie, Trevor Lawrence, yikes. And you have Baker and Matthew Stafford, two capable quarterbacks. They went out there and had 21 and 25 completions against them, right? So I do think that you throw in Sam Darnold, who is a quality quarterback, and he can get the job done here. Again, some of the numbers are going to look rough. Some of the numbers might look a little dicey, but I think we're getting a nice little line here at 18.5 for -108. Now, I mentioned some check down and everything like that, right? Who's Sam Darnold going to be throwing the ball to? I do think, check down would be for CJ Stroud. But overall, I did mention that, the Texans will take away your number one option, which would be JSN. I think Cooper Rush has a decent enough game here. He's hit it in 2 straight weeks. Over 37.5 is not all that much to ask for him, especially when he's had 20-plus yard catches in each of his last 2 games. You take a peek at some of the wide receivers against, some good numbers, not exactly the best. It's kind of a mixed bag, but again, I do think that this is a decent enough spot, and though this is a really tough defense, right? We could scroll down to the matchup analyzer. This is exactly what I'm looking at. Very tough for JSN. Cooper, okay, fairly tough. So is it amazing? No, but it may be a little bit better. So I do think that this could be a decent enough spot. Last but not least, we flip it over to the other side. Now, this is where the check down thought comes in, right? CJ Stroud is going to be facing a lot of pressure from the Seattle team. They have quarterbacks checking down against them a ton, and who better than Dalton Schultz, who just had a big week, biggest of the season, right, for him, I guess. 60 yards last week against Baltimore. You could see Seattle struggles against the tight end. 35 yards from Dalton Schultz shouldn't be all that crazy. You could see this line is jumping all the way up to 36.5, 39.5. If you could still sag a 39.5, I think that this is something that is definitely worth considering. He's number 2 in terms of their target share, right? So that's obviously very, very great. And I think Nico Collins isn't exactly in the best spot. Can he beat this defense? For certain. But I do think that Dalton Schultz, in terms of those, he might get a couple more targets because of the check down type scheme that they may have to draw up at halftime or something like that. But anyways, guys, that is going to wrap it up. Yeah, we kind of flew through this one, but make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you did enjoy. Just to recap, I like Seattle. Don't like a lot of points, though, so maybe a Texans team total under or an under just in the game. I also like Sam Darnold completions, Cooper Kupp in terms of his receiving yards, as well as Dalton Schultz. Really do appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.